Imagine you built the rules of a global game. You wrote the rules. You printed the money used in the game. And for decades, every player on Earth had to follow those rules. Now, imagine a group of powerful countries quietly sitting in a room and asking one question. What if we simply stopped playing by those rules? That is not a theory. That conversation is already happening. And the rule they want to break is the rule that made the US dollar the most powerful currency in the world. This is the real story behind why BRICS is trying to challenge the dollar. Most people hear the phrase BRICS wants to ditch the dollar and immediately assume it's just politics. They think it's anti-American rhetoric. They think it's symbolic. They assume nothing will actually change. But here's the part most headlines ignore. The countries inside BRICS represent more than 4 billion people. They control huge portions of the world's oil supply, rare earth minerals, manufacturing capacity, and agricultural output. And recently, the group expanded beyond Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. New members now include Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. That means this isn't just a diplomatic complaint anymore. It's the beginning of a potential alternative economic system. So the real question isn't whether BRICS dislikes the dollar. The real question is why they want to escape it. To understand that, you have to go back almost 80 years. In 1944, while World War II was still raging, representatives from 44 countries met in a small town in New Hampshire called Bretton Woods. The global economy had collapsed during the war. Currencies were unstable, trade systems were broken. So those nations sat down to design a new financial system. The United States walked into that meeting with a huge advantage. It held about 70% of the world's gold reserves. So the agreement they created was simple. Every global currency would be linked to the US dollar, and the US dollar itself would be tied to gold. That made the dollar the center of the entire global economy. Every country needed dollars to trade. And that system shaped the world for the next 70 years. But something dramatic happened in 1971. President Richard Nixon announced that the United States would no longer convert dollars into gold. Technically, that should have destroyed the Bretton Woods system overnight. But instead of collapsing, the dollar became even stronger. Why? Because by that point, the world had already built its entire financial system around the dollar. International trade, central bank reserves, global debt markets, everything was already priced in dollars. Then another strategic move reinforced the system. The United States negotiated a deal with Saudi Arabia and other oil-producing nations. Oil would be sold exclusively in dollars. This created the petrodollar system. Every country needed oil, and if oil was priced in dollars, then every country needed dollars. That meant governments around the world had to hold massive dollar reserves. For the United States, this created what economists call an exorbitant privilege. America could borrow cheaply than any other country. It could run large deficits, and global demand for dollars kept the system stable. But not everyone was comfortable with that arrangement. Because if the global financial system runs on the dollar, it also means the United States holds enormous financial power. And that power became very clear in 2022. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the US and its allies froze roughly $300 billion of Russian central bank reserves. Those assets were held in Western financial systems, and suddenly Russia couldn't access them. For countries like China, that moment changed everything, because China holds trillions of dollars in reserves,
and they realized something important. If geopolitical tensions rise, those reserves could be frozen too. That realization is one of the biggest reasons BRICS started looking for alternatives. And it's not just about sanctions. Many countries are also uncomfortable with how much influence the United States has over global financial institutions like the IMF, the World Bank, and the SWIFT payment system. When the financial plumbing of the world runs through a single country's infrastructure, that country inevitably holds enormous leverage. BRICS nations increasingly see that leverage as a risk. Now here's the interesting part. BRICS is not replacing the dollar tomorrow. There is no fully functioning BRICS currency today. But something quieter is happening. Countries are slowly starting to trade without the dollar. China and Russia now settle large parts of their trade in yuan and rubles. China and Brazil agreed to trade using their own currencies instead of dollars. Saudi Arabia has even accepted yuan payments for oil in some deals. At the same time, BRICS nations are building alternative financial systems, new development banks, alternative payment networks, digital currency experiments between central banks. None of these changes will replace the dollar tomorrow, but together they represent something important, a slow attempt to reduce dependence on the US financial system. And the data already shows small shifts. In 2000, about 70% of global reserves were held in dollars. Today, it's closer to 58%. The dollar is still dominant, but the direction is clear. This is not a sudden revolution. It's more like a slow rebalancing of global financial power. So here's the real question. BRICS may not replace the dollar tomorrow, but the world is clearly building backup systems. And history shows that no global currency stays dominant forever. The British pound once ruled global finance. Before that, it was Spanish silver. Eventually, every monetary system changes. The real question is whether we are watching the early stages of the next shift. And that is where I want your honest opinion. Do you think the US dollar will remain the world's dominant currency for the next 50 years? Or are we already seeing the beginning of a multipolar financial system? Comment "dollar stays" if you believe the US dollar will remain dominant. Comment "dollar challenged" if you think BRICS and other countries will slowly weaken its power. I read the comments and I'm really curious to see where people stand on this.